Introducing the new low-fat Subway Buffalo Chicken. Spicy chicken, cool light ranch, one hot sandwich. All the flavor you love with 7 grams of fat. For a limited time, hurry to Subway and enjoy the newest part of a Subway Fresh Fit meal. The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
This is the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
it might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't
The
care.
BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the Sports Guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The BS Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
Normally we call Cousin Sal for the weekly lines in the NFL, but we had to make a little pit stop this week. The Yankees. Fans turning against Joe Girardi, over-managing. What better time to sneak attack? Our old friend on the Subway Fresh Take hotline, JackO. We're calling him at work. He doesn't know that we're calling right now.
Conflict litigation, this is John.
Oh, Johnny! I wasn't going to call you today, but Joe Girardi's binder said that I should call you at 9:02, so I just blindly followed it.
If there's any Yankee fan within the vicinity of Anaheim, please take that binder and set it on fire. Unbelievable.
What's it like to root for the first team that ever ran out of position players during an American League playoff game?
I know. It's so ridiculous. I mean, his over-managing is just, it's a freaking outrage. And they were able to skate by because the Twins couldn't stay on the same field with them. And the Angels, for the first 2 games in New York, from the cold or the crowd or what, booted the ball all over the field. So mercifully they were able to escape. But, you know, the glaring over-managing just became too much yesterday, more than they could overcome. I mean, it's just, oh, God.
I don't think I've ever rooted for a Red Sox team that had an over-manager. And if I did, I blocked it out of my mind.
Oh, man, I just want a guy. You know what I want as a manager? I want some like old grizzled guy with tobacco juice dribbled on his jersey that just plays the instincts because he's watched and participated in approximately 4 billion baseball games.
You want Charlie Manuel or Bob Lemon?
That's right, or Jim Leland, exactly.
Yeah,
that's right. I want the old grizzled guy. I don't want some like new corporate type guy with computer printouts and spreadsheets of hypothetical matchups that have been run through some mystical computer. Oh my God! And then when he went to the binder, and I was like, "Oh, please don't! Please, for the love of God, don't take him out." And when even Joe Buck and Tim McCarver were confused about it and saying, "Oh, he must have some matchup here. Must be some past history that Fox was unaware of." No, there was no past history. It was just some concerns about Mathis facing, or whoever was batting, I forget now, who was batting against a fastball pitcher. I mean, that's just absolutely ridiculous. When Robertson looks great, I mean, don't be afraid to watch the game. Robertson's mowing him down, and you're going to bring in Aceves, who was shaky in his last outing, has been shaky in the entire postseason, and you're going to go to him. Plus, you know, has anyone commented on the fact that Alfredo Aceves is the spitting image, the twin of Jim Leyritz?
Yeah, he's like the slightly Hispanic Jim Leyritz.
He looks exactly like him. They showed him in the bullpen yesterday with his hat off, and I was like, God, is that Jim Leyritz?
So walk me through the weekend. So game one, Anaheim in cold weather.
Right. A lot of mistakes. The two guys stare at each other as the pop fly falls between them.
I texted Sal during that game, and I was so mad because I love the warm weather, cold weather NFL thing. The warm weather team going to cold weather.
Plus you had the West Coast, East Coast thing, too.
Well,
not a 1 o'clock game, but still.
But still, there was a lot of factors that I would use for an NFL bet that I was like, oh, man, how did I miss this? I would have bet the sweep. So thank God the Angels won yesterday because I would have been kicking myself. But, after game one, it just seemed like, they're not going to win a game in Yankee Stadium. It's not going to happen.
Right.
And game two turns into this marathon. Where were you on game two? You were at an engagement party, right?
I was, yes.
Tell that story.
I was at an engagement party. My wife's friend recently was engaged, so we got invited to an engagement party at the house of some people that I didn't know. Neither my wife nor I knew. basically, the only person in the room, I knew 3 people in the room, my wife and the engaged couple, from going out to dinner with them twice.
Yeah.
So I didn't know anyone else in the room, and we got there, and it was a big fancy house, and they had a game room, and they had a big fancy plasma TV, and it was tuned to ESPN for the Saturday Night Football game. And I'm like, well, I don't really want to be presumptuous and get them to put on the Yankees game, but then somebody was like, oh, we're going to put on the Yankees game. We're all Yankee fans. And I was like, oh, this is good. So,
yeah,
eating someone else's food and drinking someone else's beer and watching the game. So then the bride-to-be pulls out a DVD of some photos of the couple's trip to England.
What inning was this?
This was in the... This was like in what I thought at the time was the crucial. I think it was the 7th inning when they brought in Jabba.
No. This is like a bad movie.
So she pulls out this DVD of these wedding photos, and I'm like, oh my God, my whole body just sunk. And then to top things off, the people that own the house, they couldn't get the DVD of the photos to play through their DVD player.
Yeah.
So for 10 minutes, there was just like a blank screen on the television while they tried to figure it out. And then when that didn't work, they pulled out their laptop and tried to hook up the laptop to the computer for another 10 minutes while the screen just stayed blue. And finally, another guy who knew them better than I did grabbed the TV and was like, I'm going to put on the game while you guys figure that out. He was my new hero. Then I gave him a big kiss on the mouth. And
the funniest thing is, knowing you for 22 years, I can imagine your exact facial expressions during this entire thing.
It was the New York
The thin smile, followed by the New York subway face, and just deer in the headlights.
I was trying to follow the game on my BlackBerry, but the updates are slow, and you don't want to be completely rude sitting there and staring at your BlackBerry, although I pretty much was.
There are some games that are fun to follow, or some sports that are fun to follow on a BlackBerry. Baseball is not among them.
No, it's really not, because you want to see what's going on. And you get the feel for things. Yeah, exactly.
Football is good because you can just keep reloading the play-by-play, so it'll be like 2nd and 4, first down. Or basketball, the score will change. In hockey, if somebody scores, you'll see it. But baseball, you just don't know.
Right. Now, as it turned out, then I was able, we left the party, and then there was another 2 hours of game left after the time we got home. So, in retrospect, that wasn't all that crucial. But at the time, I'm like, this is just an absolute murder. It
was a very dramatic game.
Yeah.
It was a memorable game.
Right.
It was not a great game.
It was not one of the great all-time games. No.
We need to have a convention with these announcers who kind of pump up these games and how great it is, and it's not great if there's like 17 mistakes in the game.
Exactly.
That's not a great game.
And you know what I was very happy about, and I said this to myself at the time. I don't have any witnesses because I was alone in my living room. My wife had gone to bed. I was alone in my living room at the time, but I was extremely happy that the game was not decided on that ump's call on Ibar at second base. Now, in the ump's defense, that was like the worst effort I've ever seen at the neighborhood play. I mean, he didn't come close to second base. It was nowhere close, but you in no way want the umpire to potentially decide the game at that point. And that's always called an out, and it should have just been called an out. I was so happy because for the rest of my life, I would have heard it compared to the Jeffrey Mayer game, and the Yankees pay the umps, and they always get all the breaks and yada yada. So happy that just resulted in nothing happening. That was so good.
I was totally fine with that call. I don't know what.
Well, just in that situation, I mean, they always call it. If the guy's close to second base, they always give it to him. I thought that was an egregious effort by Ibar. I mean, he was 5 feet away from the base. You got to make a better effort than that to sell it, and the ump will give it to you. But you just hate to see the umps get involved there.
Yeah, but when you're not within 2 feet of the base, you've got to expect that maybe you might not get that call.
Yeah, true, but
seriously.
they always call that. I mean, it's just one of those unwritten baseball rule things that they always give you that.
You got to come at least a little bit
I know.
close to the
Ibar's
base.
got to make an effort there.
I mean, I understand that, or like you tap the base right before you catch the ball, stuff like that, so you don't get your knee blown out. But
I did like one of the factors of the postseason that they have the microphones on the bases, and you heard Ibar drop the F-bomb at the ump. That was exciting.
I love a few readers have pointed out how much Ibar looks like Snoop from The Wire, which you don't watch. But
no.
For the Wire fans out there, if you're watching the games, just enjoy the Ibar Snoop connection. It's pretty good. So, were you thinking sweep?
Yeah, especially when it was 3-1 yesterday.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to say, I was going to have tweets. I was going to have a tweet of that my new mantra is, this is not 2004, this is not 2004.
Yeah.
And McCarver killed him. I mean, he's already talking about a matchup with the Phillies and the Phillies left-handers against the Yankees lineup. And Joe Buck had to be like, easy there, big fella. And he's talking about, then they start talking about the 2004 comparisons and 3-0 and I'm like, oh, God.
Although they went early in that. They were like top of the sixth.
I know, way too early.
Yeah.
Way too early. And I really blame myself for yesterday's loss, and as a friend of mine at work pointed out to me, because he's a Yankee fan, and he was in my office yesterday, and we were talking about it, and I said, this Angels lineup, I said, I shouldn't even say this. And he was like, don't say it. I'm like, I'm going to say it. Because when you start a sentence with, I really shouldn't say this because it'll be a jinx, you should just shut up. But I'm like, there's no pop in that lineup. I'm like, I don't have any fear at all when Vladimir Guerrero comes to the plate.
Oh, no.
I don't worry about him hitting one out at all. And then Buck and McCarver did he hasn't hit a home run since September 18th, long drought. And I'm like, here we go.
And also he'd had one postseason homer in like 25 games or something.
So as soon as he hit that ball, I'm like, I'm completely to blame for this. I couldn't even curse at Andy Pettitte. I cursed myself.
It's always embarrassing. You know what's embarrassing for Vlad Guerrero? This guy has 407 career homers, and it's the postseason. His team's down 3-1. He's in the middle of their lineup. He's one of the guys they're counting on, and he hits this homer, and everybody's like shocked. Oh my God, Vlad Guerrero just went. It was like a weak hitting shortstop hit the home run.
Right.
Nobody could believe it. That's not a good sign for Vlad Guerrero's career.
No, it's really not. But then even after he hit that yesterday, and then as you will attest if you read my Twitter, I said Jabba is due for an implosion here, and sure enough, he gives up the leadoff double, which eventually scores.
Yes.
But then when Jorge hit the home run, and then when Abreu made an egregious base running error in just stopping between second and third, and then trying to get back to second, and then when Rivera got out of the bases loaded, I'm like, Jesus, the Yanks might be able to pull this out, and if, that would have been a dagger, 3-0.
They weren't nearly excited enough for Texas play on that.
No, that was fantastic play. To cover second base there, I mean, that's unbelievable.
Here's a rule. If you save the game with a defensive play, I need my announcer to get excited about this.
Yeah, he had a couple good plays. That play on the bases loaded was a tough stop that he threw home.
You know who he reminds me of? Doug Mientkiewicz in 2004.
Well, he's hitting about as well as him too.
Well, that's why he reminds me of him, because he's an awful hitter, but he's great. You should just make him a defensive replacement.
I mean, as awful as Girardi has been, and he thinks he's like John freaking McGraw in the series, like in the 1912 series. He's got to pull all these things out of his ass.
Yeah.
I mean, that's driving me nuts. But what's really killing the Yankees is what's killed them for the past 10 years. They can't get a clutch hit. I'm listening to the game on the radio at work yesterday before I left, and they have first and third, one out. Swisher hits a shallow pop. And then I'm driving home 2 innings later, and it's first and third, one out, and Swisher strikes out. You got to score at least one of those runs with only one out and a guy on third. You just have to.
He keeps the clubhouse loose, though, Johnny.
He does, and I've been singing his praises all year for that. But you got to score one run there, and they had so many opportunities. I mean, I know the Angels left 40 guys on base too, and I realize the pitching is better in the postseason, but they're 0 for 20 with runners in scoring position in this series.
Here's why you shouldn't worry about the series. Because their closer is Brian Fuentes.
Yeah, I know. I was going to put that on Twitter yesterday when I knew he was going to come in. I was going to put on there, give us Fuentes, give him to us.
We want Fuentes.
but then he mowed him down. So I think he mowed him down partially because Joe Girardi pinch hit for Matsui with the bat boy because he had a lot of good speed.
Well, do your rant about how Eric Hinsky isn't in the lineup.
Well, they already have Brett Gardner on the postseason roster, who's there solely basically as a defensive replacement, and because he's a fast runner. He's such a fast runner they got thrown out at second yesterday, but when everyone on earth knew he was going. But anyway, for some reason, the powers that be, the geniuses, decided to put Freddie Guzman on the roster because they think they need a second guy. Now, somebody ought to tell Girardi it's not the National League. We're going to be pulling a lot of double switches.
Yeah.
And so they have a second speed guy on there who is on there only for speed because on Saturday night he had the worst at-bat I've ever seen a Major League player have. He literally swung 3 times when the ball was in the glove.
Right.
It was the worst at-bat I've ever seen. So
the other part, he's Freddie Guzman.
Exactly. Exactly.
If he's one of your best 25, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, exactly. And so they have him on the roster, and they don't have Hinske. So yesterday, when Girardi pulls one of his brainiac moves again, and they're left with no bat in the lineup, and they have to, he does the brilliant idea of losing the DH because you can have the mighty outfield arm of Jerry Hairston Jr. I mean,
the upgrade of Jerry Hairston Jr. from Johnny Damon. That's going to decide a game.
I mean, I know Damon's a terrible outfielder and has no arm, but it's not like Jerry Hairston is.
He's not Clemente.
Not Clemente out there, exactly. So that was stupid to lose a DH, and I fully expected that would come back to bite them in the ass later, where somebody like a Sevis or Chad Gaudin would have had an at bat in a crucial situation, but which didn't happen. But so when they do that move, and he's going to pinch hit for Rivera the next inning. Is the best hitter they have off the bench now is Francisco Cervelli, their third string catcher, who had a good couple of weeks. They moved him up from Double-A this year, where he was hitting like in the 180s, I believe. He had a surprisingly good couple of weeks, and they were like, hey, we could have something here with Cervelli in the future. Not the guy you want up in a postseason situation looking to hit the ball out of the park.
Well, also, Hinske had some big hits for you this year.
He did, and Hinske's a dangerous bat. That makes the Angels make a move. They're a little worried about that. He could pop one out. Francisco Cervelli is not going to pop one out, but we have Freddie Guzman on the bench in case he needs to pinch hit, in case he needs to pinch run for somebody later in the game.
Who is he going to pinch run for in the Yankees? I mean, you already had the Brent Gardner's going to pinch run for somebody, so who is the second guy that you would need to pinch run for?
On Saturday night they used, I think they used Guzman for Matsui, and then they used Brett Gardner for Swisher. So after A-Rod, you had the powerful tandem of Murderer's Row of Guzman followed by Gardner. Which is why no one can understand why Fuentes threw a strike anywhere near A-Rod.
I mean, I don't know. If I was rooting against the Yankees, I was rooting for the other team, I would not want Hinske on that bench.
Absolutely. I could see you either put Guzman or Gardner, but not both.
It doesn't make a lot of sense, Johnny.
You need another big bat off the bench there. It just makes no sense whatsoever.
The good news is that you have Mariano Rivera, who is now he's loaded with so many steroids now, it's almost hard to take him seriously.
You better be careful because the lightning may come and strike you.
No, he is amazing, though.
That base is loaded, nobody out situation, and normally I'd be like, reaching for the scotch, but I was like, the way he could get out of this, and sure enough, he did.
He's the greatest. It's going to officially be really interesting to see how long this can keep going now, because he's 40 years old.
I know.
This is like, we have now reached a point where we should not be watching games like yesterday and thinking he's absolutely going to get out of this. He's Mariano Rivera. And
right.
He does.
And I know. It's incredible. It's an incredible run.
All right. So I want you to pull out your 500-page binder and figure out how worried you are this week.
I'll tell you, I'm fairly worried. Tonight's game, because you have CC going on 3 days rest, which never, ever works in the postseason. And it hasn't worked in his career where he was terrible for Cleveland.
I don't like the idea.
Milwaukee.
How do you not have a fourth starter to throw here?
Because they moved Jabba into the bullpen, and while Chad Gaudin was undefeated for them, it wasn't because of him, it was because of the offense. Yeah,
but you have a $290 million payroll or whatever it is. You don't have a fourth starter? You don't have like a crafty veteran? Why isn't Pedro Martinez making this start?
That's an excellent question. So CC on 3 days rest, I have little to no confidence in. And then you're counting on AJ, the Enigma Burnett, to send you back home up 3-2 rather than down 2-3.
Hold on. I have a quick question for you because you brought up Burnett. The shaving cream pie, isn't somebody going to get like a terrible eye infection from one of these at some point? I think about this every time. If somebody did that to me, I'd be like, my eyes, my contacts would be burning. I'd have to take my contacts out. There's never been a shaving cream pie gone wrong.
The series is marred and takes a turn for the worse when Jeter scratches a cornea on a pie incident.
Or like, what if you got it's shaving cream. Who wants shaving cream in their eyes, especially if you don't see it? Your eyes are wide open. You're talking to the broadcast guy, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, shaving cream right in the eyes.
I know it's
got to burn, right?
I like it though. I got to admit, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, but the next time I see you, if you're just talking to me and I randomly whammed you in the face with a shaving cream pie, like you wouldn't be upset about this?
Well, no, I wouldn't be. But if I had just done, we just won some podcasting award or something, we won the podcasting Emmy and we were celebrating and you pied me in the face, that would be cool. Celebration.
You'd be holding the trophy, be like, "That's all right. I've been blinded. It's okay."
I'd get over it with some Visine eventually, I'm sure. So.
All right, we got to get to Cousin Sal. So tell us how worried you are this week.
6.5.
6.5. Gee, you have a 2-1 lead.
Yeah, I had a 3-0 lead in 2004 too, and that didn't work out that well for me. So that I'm afraid that scars me like an abuse victim.
Are you worried about the Phillies?
Yes. Yeah, good starting pitching and guys that can hit the ball out of the park.
All right, we're going to call you later this week.
Excellent.
Talk to you soon, John.
See ya.
All right, from JackO to Cousin Sal, the Week 6 Lions. Week 7 Lions. What week is this, Sal?
It's week 7. It's starting to get in that depressing area here where we're about the halfway mark, and I don't know what to do. I have to start thinking of making plans for the end of the season. But
I should mention you're on the Subway Fresh Take Hotline. Congratulations.
Thank you. That's right. And our deal is we pick the lines. I pick them ahead of time, and then you pick them, and whoever comes closer wins the week, and whoever wins more weeks gets to smack the other one with the Subway sandwich for a minute.
Well, first we have some business to settle.
What's that?
Well, I've lost 2 bets this year, both that you talked me into. My record in my column with picks right now, I'm 26 games over 500. I'm 58-32. In our picks league, you're second from last, beating only Neil Everett, who hasn't called in picks the last 2 weeks.
Wait a minute, I want to tell Neil to start calling in picks. I want to be in last place. I want a true last place finish here. This isn't right.
Well, I mean, what's gone wrong for you with picking games this year?
I don't know. I can't figure it out.
You were the most ice cold since I have known you. I've known you for 7 years.
This is the worst. This is the worst I've been. I'll just tell people to bet against me. And really, I have no problem saying bet against whatever garbage I throw out there on JimmyKimmelLive.net or on a picks column because it's bad. I can't catch up.
You love the Chargers. You loved the Chargers last night.
I did.
Minus 170. It's just
two kick return touchdowns for Denver. They hadn't moved the ball at all in the first half. San Diego was looking good, moving the ball, playing a little bit, and then just all fell apart.
Do we think the Chargers are good, though? I'm leaning toward no.
We were texting last night. I think they're going to score a lot of points, but that defense isn't there yet.
It's awful.
Right?
Yeah,
it's now
not
Denver
a good
has
defense.
3.5 game lead, right? In middle of October. It's crazy.
Well, and they also have 3 against the Chiefs and the Raiders still. They have the Chargers at home. They have the Giants, which is their toughest game, but it's on Thanksgiving. So the Giants have 3 days rest. And after what we saw from the Giants on Sunday, I mean, it seems like if the Saints could move the ball like that, it seems like the Broncos could move the ball at least a little bit. So I don't know. I mean, maybe the Broncos go like 12-4.
Yeah.
More importantly, they're 6-0 against the spread.
What's that?
They're 6-0 against the spread, which we know can't last. I mean, in all the years that you've been following this, do you ever remember a team going like 14-2 against the spread? It just doesn't happen.
No, they don't go half the year without a spread loss.
There's a correction. The Saints are 5-0 against the spread. Broncos are 6-0. Right. There's always a correction. The line ends up swinging too far the other way.
Yeah. Now, let me just say this. We talked about how bad my picks are. The one thing I could boast about, kind of, is our underdog selection of the week.
Yeah, we've been good at that. We
hit both of them this week. We've hit 1 or 2 the rest of the way. We're getting 2-1 odds on those. So,
well, we had we finally lost the 3-team tease last weekend, which was fun. After 5 straight weeks of any possible 3-team tease was going to win, everybody got killed. We actually had the Giants as part of ours, which lost. But I think
that the worst? Isn't that the worst? Here's the Giants. They're one of my top 3 most hated teams in sports, and I should have just sat back and enjoyed that shellacking. But no, I had to take them, and worse yet, convince you to take them plus 13.
As it turned out, we would have lost anyway, though, because as it turned out, the Sanchez isn't really that good in cold weather, which I don't think anybody had been counting on.
Right, the Jets were another team on that 3-team tease.
And we had the Pats.
We would have lost anyway thing, because I didn't tell you, I bounced back for the late afternoon games and added them to a 3-team teaser that would have won if not for Sanchez. So.
Oh, no. That was one of the worst teases I've ever done, because we lost 2/3 of it, and then the other one was the Pats, which we teased down to even, who covered by 59 points.
Yeah, that was over by 120.
That was pretty tough. All right, so who's the best team in the league right now, Saints?
I don't want to rule the Colts out. Like, they haven't shown me anything to let me think that they're not the best. I think the Vikings are not the best. I don't know why. Maybe it's an anti-Favre bias, but I'm not ready to put them up there.
I know why.
Why?
Because they could easily be 4-2 right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are a Hail Mary pass, a pseudo Hail Mary pass, and a missed field goal away from being 4-2. So that's a legitimate reason.
I like if the Vikings beat the Steelers this week, I'll maybe come closer to putting them in the top 2. But right now, I think the Colts on a neutral field, they beat anybody.
I had heading into last weekend. I had the old gunpoint rule, like at gunpoint, you had to pick one team who wins. I would have said the Colts. But after watching that Saints game, it really is starting to look like 99 Rams all over again.
Yeah.
Just like there's no answer. Nobody can figure out. These guys are wide open. They're doing whatever they want. They can run the ball. Breeze doesn't make mistakes. I don't know how you shut this offense down. We haven't seen this in 10 years.
Right.
I guess
Breeze,
the 07...
one thing we haven't seen, which we thought we'd see, is Breeze under pressure a little bit. And they handled the Giants. They really did.
The 07 Pats, I think, was the last time we saw an offense playing at this level, but they were really, if you look back, they were never quite the same after Sammy Morris went down. They just couldn't run the ball. The Saints team can run the ball, and throw it, and there's just, I don't know how you stop them. I guess you hope for somebody to get injured.
Yeah. They have an interesting matchup this week. We'll get to it.
Yeah, let's do it. The Week 7 lines.
Let's do it. All right, we've been talking about these Chargers for a while. Chargers at Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, I locked out on Tennessee a couple weeks ago, and I'm starting to feel the same way about the Chargers. I just don't think they're good. I mean, I think they can outscore, but they're just going to give up points every week. I don't think Vegas believes in the Chiefs, though. I'm going to say Vegas. I'm going to say Chargers by 5.
Wow. All right, you hit that one exactly. I mean, I said Chargers by 7. I'm still thinking the Chiefs should be in the elite worst, but 5 is probably right after watching last night.
Their defense is okay.
The Chargers cost me so much money. You know that stupid retirement commercial where the guy is in a coffee shop texting his wife about what they're going to do? This one. That's going to be me and my wife. No, sorry, we have to move in with the kids. I bet the Chargers again last night. I can't. They kill me. They kill me every week. I figure it out.
You know what though? We always talk about that magazine that comes out every year that's got the last 20 years of spread records.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 2 teams every year that you just expect that they're going to turn it around. Or, oh, no, they're good. They'll be fine. And it just never happens. And it seems like the Chargers are one of those teams.
And it never, ever happens with North Turner as the head coach. I mean, how many times do you have to be blitzed inside by Doomerville and everyone else?
I know.
They have the best middle screen in the game, the Chargers, between Sproles and Tomlinson. You dump it off. And I was like, every time he was sacked, Rivers, in the second half, that play was not available. I don't understand it.
It wasn't a very well-coached game.
All right, so you're up 1-0. Green Bay at Cleveland is the second game.
It's either I'm between 6.5 and 7 on this for Green Bay. I'm going to go with Green Bay by 7.
Wow, you hit 2 in a row exactly. I said 6, and it is in fact 7.
Is that tease for us?
I think so. I mean, it's probably time for these teams to show their true colors, right? Green Bay pulls away from mediocrity. Cleveland joins the worst, I mean, they fool you, the Browns, because they have one win. They're still pretty bad, right? They're kind of flying under the radar as far as the bad teams go.
Their offense is really, 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 really inept. I mean, Josh Cribbs is their best offensive player, and he is a returner, and they don't even really know how to totally use him, and he's the only guy that you'd be afraid of. I mean, I had a reader suggest that I should add a line to my weekly pixie trick about Josh Cribbs versus the Browns offense. Browns offense -3, Josh Cribbs.
Yeah.
Who covers that? You might want to take Josh Cribbs in that bet.
That's true. Yeah, it's bad, for the fans when, at least when you have a young guy on the bench and the coach is stubborn and he's starting the veteran quarterback. You could say, oh, my God, put the young guy. There's hope. There's always hope on the bench, but this coach is being such a hardhead, But now it's I don't know. What do you do? Brady Quinn, Derek Anderson. We're done. I don't care what you do here.
Well, it's Brady Quinn and Vince Young. It's kind of the same thing where if these guys aren't playing right now, then obviously that means that they have no intention of ever playing these guys. Mm-hmm. Right? If Brady Quinn can't crack it right now, then he's just get rid of him.
They're just stuck, and how can you get rid of them? You're not going to get any value for them by not playing them, and you're showing your hand by not playing them at all.
I'm going to say one thing about the Packers. I think they're a little undervalued right now because they had offensive line problems in that Bengals game, and then we saw it on Monday night against the Vikings. But it was just because guys were hurt, and those guys are back now, and I think they can protect a little better. And
those are their 2 losses, right? They went to Minnesota. Yeah, those are tough games. The Bengals snuck up on them.
Tough games, and they had a legitimate issue where they had no left tackle, and now the line is kind of back, and I just think that they might make a little run here.
Yeah. All right. Indy at St. Louis.
Oh, man. I had trouble.
Patch written all over it, I think.
I had trouble with this one. I don't see how it's less than 13, so I'm going to go 13.
I can't pull away from you here. You hit 3 in a row exactly. I had 13 also. But you're at 3 in a row now.
I'm 3 for 3 right now, exact? This is amazing.
Yeah, this is good. I don't think we've ever had 4. Or maybe not even 3.
I won't do 4. That's not possible.
I think the Colts crush here. I mean, this is perfect for Peyton Manning, isn't it? It's not a big travel day, indeed, at St. Louis.
You know what? We owe everyone an apology for what happened with that Eagles-Raiders game last week. That would have been the greatest underdog pick ever. I didn't think they could make that line high enough, but then as you're watching it, you're thinking, of course, this is the typical Andy Reid, Donovan McNabb garbage road game that they mail in, and the other team's excited, and they screw up, and then it's an awful loss, and everybody writes the Eagles off. This happens every year.
Was it Friday or Saturday you sent me something that said, it was the betting breakdown, and 85% had the Eagles? Was that the game?
Yeah, that was the game. I said I checked Wagerline. They have this function on Wagerline where you can see what the betting trends are, and I had never seen anything over 80% before. And for that Eagles-Raiders game, it was like 83% Eagles. And I emailed you and the J-Bug and my friend Jeff Gallo and said, uh-oh. I've never seen an 80 before. Something weird's going to happen with this game. That was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that was pretty good. But I think this is I don't think it's the same thing with Indy St. Louis. We agree that Manning's better on the road. The Rams put the Jags to overtime. That's like 4 wins for them. They're satisfied.
Manning has the eye of the tiger. Also, how far is Indy from St. Louis? Is it far or not far?
It's like 9.5 miles or something. Depends. Well, how do you go? No, I don't know. It's not that far, right?
Well, I was just thinking maybe you have a game where you have half of the stadium is Colts fans.
Yeah, it's not like they're traveling far.
That reminds me, do you ever do that thing with your kids where you ask them questions like, how far do you think it is from our house to Sal's house? And they have no idea. And they say, it's 190 miles. Like, they just have no idea. No concept of age, miles. It always cracks me.
Kids are really, really dumb. And
kids are stupid.
It's going to stay like that for a while. Minnesota, Pittsburgh. This is a good game.
That's a nice game. And you know what? It gets a little hop in your step every time you see this matchup from the 70s.
Mm-hmm. I hit this one exactly, so.
Oh. I struggled with this one because the two choices are 3 or 2.5, and I ended up going Steelers by 2.5.
All right. Well, I hit it exact. It's 4.5, the Steelers. And Vegas continues to undervalue Minnesota. I mean, they didn't cover last week, giving 3 at home to Baltimore, but 4.5 Pittsburgh. 2-loss Pittsburgh, who's been struggling with even mediocre and bad teams, giving 4.5.
I'm shocked. I guess people
Vikings have 29 games without a 100-yard rusher. I don't know if anyone could check that, but someone said that on the radio, and I believe almost everything I hear. So that's pretty spectacular if it's true.
It seems like people are just waiting and waiting and waiting for Favre to turn into 2008 Brett Favre again.
Yeah.
And that's the explanation for all of these lines.
I'm the same way,
the Vikings.
like the Steelers this week.
Well, okay, hold on. We have to quickly discuss what a horrible, horrible, horrible disgrace of a non-cover that was by Minnesota.
Oh, well, like they had their play calling down the stretch with the first and goal at the 9. I don't even remember what it was.
Well, so, first of all, they were up by 2 possessions, 2 scores the whole game. It was 30-17. They got real conservative. The Ravens, all of a sudden the Ravens charge back. It's 31-30. Vikings come down. They get a huge play. First down from the 14-yard line with like 2:50 left. And they run a typical crap Peterson run that they knew was coming. They stacked the line 9 guys. Second down, same thing. 3rd and 7 with like, like 2:30 left or something. Another crappy run right up the middle. Peterson even said afterwards, yeah, that was terrible. I don't know what we were doing. So now they kick a field goal. They haven't stopped the Ravens for the whole half. Their defense has been on the field for the whole half. The Ravens now get the ball back at the 2-minute warning, basically. They charge down and they miss a field goal. But, I mean, that was horrible.
That was really bad. Especially, I don't know why he's playing just for the field goal. When the Ravens have driven down, it was a touchdown pass to Clayton and then Mason.
Yeah.
It made it look easy in a matter of minutes. And he was cool. They were cool with just kicking a field goal there.
We have seen the coaching's always bad, but we've seen some really, really, really bad coaching this year. I mean, I feel like it's been especially bad.
There was a seminar, I think, sometime in June, and they really all stepped it up. But
right.
San Fran and Houston.
You buying the Texans yet?
Well, look, they're right on track. They're 3-3, and right on target for the 8-8 finish that we all know is going to get there.
I'm going to say Texans by 3.5.
All right, you get it. I thought it was going to be higher. I said 4.5. It's 3.
All right.
That seems low, though, right?
Niners coming off a
San
bye.
Francisco good, or are they good for the NFC West? Like, what are we supposed to think here?
Niners coming off a bye. Frank Gore coming back.
I guess so.
I like the Texans. I don't think the Niners are. I think they've been a little smoke and mirrors because of the NFC West schedule.
Yeah. I just get scared with these low numbers, like the 3. All right. New England at Tampa Bay. This game's in London.
Oh. So when I was making my decisions, I thought it was in Tampa. I got confused. Wow.
Oh, really? Your team is going to London.
Well, then that has to be at least 2 touchdowns. I'm going to say Patriots by 14.
Yeah, you get it. I said 13. It's 14.5.
I like the Pats.
Let me ask, is the Queen allowed to shake Tom Brady's hand, or will she be fined in contact?
Come on.
Is she going to sign him up for Wimbledon? He did have a helmet-to-helmet that should have been called, but there was one that, I don't know, I think like Van den Bosch threw a snowball at him in his direction and was fined $10,000. I don't know what happened there.
Hey, at least everybody's honest about that you're not allowed to touch this guy. I like it.
It's true.
Got to protect your stars.
This might be like a really hated team, the Patriots. I mean, there might be a real Buccaneers following. The Patriots represent the Boston Tea Party and everything, rubbing it in against England, right?
That's interesting. I didn't think of that angle.
Yeah, if I just knew nothing about sports and was just like looking at history, I would be rooting for the Bucks.
So you're saying the English fans that are going to come to this game are going to instinctively root against the Patriots, since that was probably the most embarrassing turn of events in the history of their country.
Right, exactly.
Other than when Neville Chamberlain gave Poland or Czechoslovakia to Hitler. I can't remember which one. But
that was
probably
bad.
number 2.
I bet on that, too. That was bad. Yeah, I'm telling you, huge Bucks following in this game.
Right.
They might only lose by 45. All right, Buffalo at Carolina. We're in the late afternoon games. Only 6 early games Sunday.
Huh.
Because there are 6 teams off.
But do we have Trent Edwards for this game?
He says he wants to play with the concussion.
Joe Meade, do you want Trent Edwards to play?
Not with a concussion. He went into a tailspin after he had one last year, so.
So he's had more than one?
Yeah, he had a concussion in the Arizona game last year.
If I was a football player and I had 2 concussions, that would be it for me. I'd be like, okay, guys, I'm gonna try to.
Joe Meade has a concussion. I don't even like him patching me in through the board here. But whatever, we have to go through it.
He's concussed. If I had 2, though, that would be. I mean, now you're talking like you get that 3rd one, and now you're making the concession that the last 40 years of your life are going to be difficult. 3 or more. I just think there's too much evidence now, and Gladwell wrote that huge thing in the New Yorker last week. I wonder if there is going to be a day like 30 years from now when football is a completely different sport. No head to head to anything.
Yeah, the helmets will look different. And then again, It is really cool to play football, isn't it? If you're
It is.
Edwards thinking about it.
It is. My friend Sully has his 8-year-old is the QB and safety for the Situate Pop Warner team, and he's laid out 2 kids. They had to be helped off. Sully was all excited about it. I was like, yeah, this is why football will never die.
They didn't have a line on this because Edwards was. I found one eventually, but which way does it swing if it's Fitzpatrick or Edwards?
I have Panthers by 6.
All right, I get this one finally.
High? Is it higher?
No, it's 7.5. I said 6.
Damn it! I should have gone higher.
Yeah. Well, listen, the Bills, Joe. This is great for you. The Bills have figured out the key is to give up 600 yards on the ground, and you're in it at the end of the game.
Are the Panthers? Are they 2-3? Are they 3-3?
They're 2-3. Yep.
God, they're going to be 3-3. It's ridiculous.
Bills are going to win. I'm talking myself into 10-6.
Look at this.
Listen to their schedule: at Carolina, win; Houston at home, win; bye. Then you go at Tennessee, at Jacksonville, Miami, the Jets at Kansas City. They got to win all those games. Then they lose to New England, lose at Atlanta, and then they beat Jim Sorgi's Indianapolis Colts to go 10-6.
Joe is concussed. You're right.
If that happened, at least that would be a fun soundbite. By the way, Sal, don't bring up the Notre Dame game on Saturday with Joe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that ripped his heart out. It was like 34-10 or something, and they rallied back, and it would have been one of the greatest Notre Dame wins of this decade. And yeah,
Charlie Weiss.
More bad play calling, right, Joe? And Clausen, he should be doing the. How much more, just in general, Bill, Joe, would you rather see a bootleg on a 1st and goal at the 1 than that stupid fade pattern? That fade route has to work right now in college and pro about 8% of the time, right?
Yeah, that's awful.
We had this discussion at Jimmy's on Sunday.
Yeah.
If you ran the fade route without a defense, and you asked these just QB and receiver, let's run the fade route, would they hit it 70% of the time?
Well, I think that's exactly what happens in practice. They're running this play and it looks so nice that the taller receiver is coming down with it. But
yeah,
right, I don't see. You might as well do a flea flicker from the 1. These fades are? Your heart stops when the ball's in the air and you only need to gain 8 inches and you're throwing it 40 yards deep in the air to come down in the back of the end zone.
You know what play? See, with the fade, it has like the 8% success rate, but the silent count QB sneak seems to work like 98% of the time. Because how do you stop that if you're the defense? You don't know the ball's going to be snapped.
That could be a nice first down play. I wouldn't blame any team for doing that on first down at the 1.
That was terrible. All right, let's keep going.
All right. Jets at Oakland.
The Sanchez.
Wow.
Well, at least it's warm weather for him this week.
Yep. Going east to west.
I don't think Vegas buys the Raiders at all. I'm going to say Jets by 6.
See, all right. Well, let's talk about this. You hit it exactly. But I had Jets by 10. Now, the Eagles were giving them 14. Does one game really sway this, 8 points? Really? The Jets are as good as the Eagles, aren't they? And
I know, it's not a Raiders swing. It's a Mark Sanchez threw 5 interceptions and has no confidence, and everybody in New York has turned against him swing.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. He sliced that line off 4 points by himself last week.
Yeah.
And we all agreed as we watched the game that we had really never seen a worse quarterback performance. We had our friend Randy who laughs anytime there's a terrible play. He has this crazy cackle. And Sanchez got 11 Randy cackles during that game.
He did. He got a lot.
He set the record for Randy cackles, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. He had 6 picks, whatever, Joe. I don't know. The Bills still needed overtime to win that game. I'm not sure it's going 10-6.
The Bills gave up over 300 yards of rushing and won.
Yeah.
That has to be a record.
All right, next game, New Orleans at Miami.
That's a nice game.
It'll be a fun game, I think.
This could be it for New Orleans. If they're going to lose and they're going to lose their momentum, I think maybe we look at this for our underdog pick.
I'm looking hard at it.
Because if the Saints lose the momentum, it's going to be against a weird team throwing a weird run defense or run offense at them. All that weird stuff, and
the There's about 3 more weeks before the coordinators figure out the Wildcat, right?
I don't know. They keep adding wrinkles to it. It really seems like nobody can, Baltimore, or not Baltimore, the Jets, they threw all those blitzes at it, which was how it was stopped last year in the playoffs. And this time they were ready for all the blitzes, and they just kind of picked it apart.
Well, I'm going to say, kind of like this last year, though. It worked for like 8 or 9 weeks, and then teams buckled down. It got cold, and they figured it out.
The only difference is I think they have better talent this year. Because Ronnie Brown now has been doing it for a year, and he really gets it now. And I think Ricky Williams looks better too, and I think that Chad Henne's better than Pennington, can make better throws, and Ted Ginn's better. I think they have a better team. I'm gonna say Saints by 4.5, and I love the Dolphins.
Oh well, you're gonna love them more because they're getting 6.5.
Oh,
it's 7.
Oh.
Yep.
There we go.
We could look at that one.
That's a nice one. All right, what's the score between us right now?
All right, now it's 4. You have 6, I have 4, including the ties.
Okay.
Now it's Chicago at Cincy.
The Bears aren't well coached. I got to say it.
They should be better, right?
They should be better. Their special teams kills them. They make weird decisions. They fake plays at the wrong time, and it just seems like they shoot themselves in the foot a lot. I'm starting
Collinsworth, I thought, gave Orlando Pace a little too much credit. I mean, one of the greatest players of all time at that position. I don't know. I remember Orlando Pace as the guy who got injured and killed everyone's fantasy, Steve Jackson fantasy season. And then he jumps off sides on the 4th and 1. That killed him.
When you're a 2009 NFL announcer and you win the award for the biggest hyperbole comment of the week in a week where Ron Jaworski and John Gruden also did a game, you've really accomplished something.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because we've now had 6 Monday Night Football games, and each game was the greatest game that's ever happened and had the most awesome play, the unbelievable plays, excellent, this guy's great, this guy's excellent. I guess they're just happy. They like everybody.
Yeah. They should know. People are tuning in. They're going to watch the end of a 6-point game, no matter what you say. So you don't have to sell it anymore.
Well, like Brandon Marshall really, really hurt the Broncos last night. 3rd down play, pass interference. It's going to be 1st down. He was calling for the flag. He got the flag, but as he was getting it, kicks the ball, gets the unsportsmanlike, which nullifies the 1st down penalty, and kills the Broncos. Now it's 3rd and 8 again. They don't get it. They end up kicking a field goal, but they were like, oh, that's a bad play by Marshall. That was worse than a bad play. That's a freaking terrible play. Like, you've just cost your team 4 points, basically.
Right.
Collinsworth would have ripped in the shreds. I love Collinsworth. Collinsworth is the only guy that will call everybody out for that crap.
I agree. I said it before. He almost ruins the game, too, with his insight because he's so far ahead of everybody. You're like, oh, yeah, that's right. He's exactly
I don't understand. I would love to know, what part of his brain is able to watch the line of scrimmage and see all the different things happen. It's amazing to me. Madden could do that, too, back in the day, but, he'll see, oh, yeah, that cornerback missed the jam. How do you see that, but also watch the line of scrimmage and the offensive line and everything?
Though he's tall, he's like 6'10". He's able to see things.
He's got a long neck.
So Chicago at Cincy.
Oh yeah, Bengals by. I think Vegas is off the Bengals bandwagon a little. I'm going to go Bengals by 2.5.
All right, you get it. I said 3.5. It's Cincy by 1.5.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
This is what kills me, though. What are they doing? This is going to scare me away from taking Cincinnati. Atlanta opened at 3.5 over Chicago. So Cincy's not equal to Atlanta at this point.
Well, remember they lost Antoine Odom for the year.
Antoine Odom's out. I know.
That's a big one. That's their best defensive pass rusher. He was basically their whole pass rush.
Second road game in a row on a shortish week.
Must win for the Bears.
I'll stay away. 7-4. You have the lead.
I gotta say though, I like the Bears. The games that I've watched, their record should be better than it is. They've shot themselves in the foot with dumb decisions. Now, will that keep happening? I don't know.
You make fun of my record, but I had the Bears over Atlanta. You had Atlanta Sunday night?
Well, I went into playoff mode with that pick because I just thought Atlanta at home with the crowd, that's a tough place on a Sunday night. That was the only
They should have won that game by 3.
Yeah, they should have. Yeah.
But,
What was
all
next
right, Atlanta at Dallas.
How you feeling?
I can see anything happening.
I know, seriously.
Except for my Cowboys blowing the Falcons out.
Well,
anything else?
My personal line for this game would be 3, but I think it's going to be 3.5.
Wow, you nailed that. It's 4. I saw it 4 today, and I said 3. So you got that one.
I like the Falcons.
It's hard
like
to
your
give
team.
points. It's hard to give more than 3 points if you're Dallas against another good team, let alone a team that's 4-1.
I don't know what your team does well.
Well, we get injured.
You get injured well. You have a coach that stares at the field with his mouth open well.
Yeah. See? Let me tell you something. I looked at it. Tony Romo's on pace for 5,300 yards this year. 5,300 yards.
That's pretty good.
You have him as a fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, and I'm 2-4. You know what I will say about this Cowboys team? I don't think they're that good. And if they're not that good, they're due for a game that they lose convincingly, which hasn't happened yet. Like kind of what happened to the Bengals last week, where you just lose 27-16 or something.
I know. The only thing, they are coming off a bye. Roy Williams expected back. Felix Jones going to try to play. They really have to win their home games to make any kind of noise in that conference.
I like the points.
All right. Arizona at the Giants is a Sunday night game.
I had trouble with this one.
They covered 13 last week. I can't believe that. It's me sick.
I mean, after watching that Saints game and the way they threw the ball, the Cardinals have a similar team for throwing the ball. So I said Cardinals, Giants by 6.
All right, I think we split it because I said 8 and it's 7.
All right, that's
What's
fair.
That?
I like the Giants in a
You're
tease.
going to win the week because you have like 9 and I have 5 or something.
Tell me why we can't do a Packers-Giants tease.
I'm more confident in the Packers than I am the Giants. I mean, couldn't they? Here's the thing: they could slip up against Arizona. Who would care? And they're going to roll against the division. I think enough times to win it.
Actually, you just made me think of something. So that's a Sunday night game, Giant Stadium. Yeah. I'm going to say the weather's not going to be that good. That could be a little Eli in the wind action.
You're right.
But you also might have Kurt Warner in the wind, which isn't a great thing either.
Yeah. The only reason I'm holding on to Brandon Jacobs is weather reasons. Like, he's such a fantasy bust, but I just think the Giants, they do turn it on in like 2-3 weeks, right?
Are we going to make our trade?
What was it?
Brandon Jacobs for Jonathan Stewart?
Yeah, we have to take it, because you have Ahmad Bradshaw and wait, who do you have?
I have Ahmad Bradshaw and Jonathan Stewart. You have D'Angelo Williams and Brandon Jacobs.
Right. I want to look into it.
You look into that. I'm going to offer you.
I wanted Steve Smith from you. I just didn't have anyone to trade you, and now Steve Smith announced, the Carolina Steve Smith, the one who we thought was better than the other one, he announced yesterday that he's not an asset to the Panthers.
He's not an
asset? Do we have to consider that? No, he said he's not an asset to the offense anymore.
Well, I can tell you he was an asset to my fantasy team because he put up a goose egg. He had the .6, which Randy cackled at. But
I'm going to drop him. If he's not an asset, you should just drop him off your fantasy team. He can't help you.
I'm offering you Jonathan Stewart for Brandon Jacobs.
I'm not going to do that. I got to hold on to Jacobs. He's a good cold weather back. No one wants to tackle him in November. I'm going to stick it out with him.
So then
Stewart, then have to start Stewart and D'Angelo Williams?
I think both of them are backups.
That's
all
rough.
Right, we'll look at it.
All right, I'll take a look at it. But you look at trading me Steve Smith for I don't know what.
For a bag of donuts?
Keep in mind, he's not an asset. I think he is an asset. I think they're happy he's just not punching out the rest of the team. He's an asset.
Well, I didn't realize, because I don't follow college football, I didn't realize that the other Steve Smith also punched out a teammate at USC.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. It's in the name. All right, Philly at Washington Monday night.
And you know what, Sal? I'm going to be in Washington that Monday night for my book tour starts off at the ESPN Zone.
Plug your book tour. Go ahead. I want to give you a chance to plug your book.
Midnight signing.
Wow.
At the ESPN Zone, but I'll be there all night and watching the games.
Smart. That's smart. So it'll be after that game.
Yeah, but we'll sign a bunch ahead of time. We'll get everybody out of there. So, we go.
You better, because if the Eagles win 42-7, I don't think people are going to be sticking around.
Well, we got Washington Monday, then we got Philly Tuesday. We have New York City Wednesday night, Professor Tom's. Thursday, Borders, Wall Street, lunchtime signing. Then Friday, Boston, lunchtime signing at the Prue, the bookstore in there, and then before the Celtics game at Hurricane O'Reilly's, downtown Boston. We'll post it on the website, though. Yeah, it's going to be action-packed.
What a week.
What a week.
So at the end of the year, you could say you put in an honest week's worth of work.
That would be my first one in like 3 years. I know. I'm excited.
Awesome.
I'm going to say Eagles by 7.5.
All right. Well, it makes sense. You get the last one. I said 6.5, and it's 7. So you win 6, 7, 8.
No, we tied. That means we tied.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. You win 10 to 6. Doesn't matter. And you're up 4 weeks to 3 on me.
Strong week.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm 4-0 when I write out the matchups ahead of time and think them through and try to guess the line.
All right. Good.
Yeah.
Maybe I should try that.
maybe you should take a look at that strategy.
Maybe Philly on a teaser. You know, you're going to be in Washington. You're not going to want to root for them. You're not going to want to root against them, right?
Oh, no. Are you kidding? Everyone in Washington's rooting against them. No, there isn't a single Redskins fan that is rooting for this team.
Yeah.
All of them want this team to keep losing. They want the coach to get fired. They want Daniel Snyder to panic and overpay Bill Cowher or John Gruden or Shanahan or whoever. They are in as passionate root against mode as I think any fan base has been in a long time in the NFL.
Yeah. I think I have to apologize to Al Davis. I said Daniel Snyder's the new Al Davis, but that is looking like a huge dig at the old man. I apologize. I saw him move, actually, in a replay the other day.
Well, so last week on our Underdog Locks of the Week, we hit both.
Right.
And we won something like $2,200. We're well.
The Chiefs and the Texans. Joe, I don't know if Joe's keeping track, but yeah, we're doing well now with the Underdog Locks.
Joe, I mean that would require some producing. Like he'd have to go back and listen to it. I don't want to put him out.
He doesn't remember.
I'm going to say if we could have a listener go back and listen to all the Underdog Locks of the Week and figure out exactly how much money we're up, I will mention you, the reader, who figures that out. The first one I get, the next podcast. So, but we're over $3,000.
It's the last 3 minutes of each podcast. You don't have to listen to the whole thing. But
I really like looking at this list. I think the Dolphins are really intriguing, and I think the Bills are intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Well, I have
and
one
the Falcons.
team written down. And I've been terrible this year, except for maybe these. I've come close with these underdogs. And I think the Miami Dolphins win. They beat the Saints. I like it too. This is just a textbook. It's like a good team had a week off against a team that had a huge win due to a letdown. I don't know. The Dolphins have an effed up offense. I think they'll keep Breeze off the field, and hopefully Chad Henne didn't forget how to play football in the last 2 weeks. They'll pressure Breeze also. It's lowest scoring, 20-17. I say the Dolphins win this game.
Also, we both like the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're well coached. I like the talent. I think that's a pretty good team. I think they're kind of turning into something. And also,
the Saints, money line. What would we put on there? Plus 220.
Yeah, so let's put $1,000 on them.
Beautiful.
Let's open it up. The other thing I like is that the Saints are outdoors. It was like getting the dome team.
Yeah, I was thinking of what kind of weather is supposed to be rolling into there.
It's nice to get the dome team outdoors, though. It always does seem to play at least a little bit of a factor. You don't want to put a little on the Bills? Let's stay away of Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't know.
You like the Chiefs at all?
No, I went against you last week.
What's the Chiefs money line out of curiosity?
Plus 180.
Oh.
Well, we could put a little on them too, I guess.
Yeah. Oh man, North Turner and Arrowhead.
Dolphins. Let's just root hard for the Dolphins.
All right, we'll put it, Joe. We're going to put, not that you're keeping track, but we're putting 1,000 in the Dolphins.
Okay, I'll mark that down.
You mark that down and then throw it away.
I love it. Mark this down. This week on Jimmy Kimmel Live, Ed Norton, Paul Schaefer, Salma Hayek, John C. Reilly, and Terry Bradshaw.
Joe Meade, give us one reason why Cousin Sal shouldn't get Twitter so he can put his picks up on there and people can go against him.
There is no reason. Do it, right. Sal.
Come on, Sal.
Go to JimmyKimmelLive.net. It's all there. There's a nice picture of me, and just go against everything I say.
How does Jimmy Kimmel Live not own JimmyKimmelLive.com?
Back in in the mid-'70s, there was another Jimmy Kimmel Live, It's a complicated story.
You know what that makes me think? Like, so you decide the title of the show, but then you don't make sure that how would anybody know to get that domain? So you decide the title, you buy the domain. It almost makes me wonder if the executive producer at the time, Daniel Kellison, if he was that confident.
Oh my God!
I'm just saying. I mean, that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing an executive producer, like our friend Daniel Kellison, that's the kind of thing you cross the T's, dot the I's, you make sure the URL, you get the URL.
Of all things to go after Daniel about this.
Well, maybe it's Doug DeLuca's fault. I don't know. It's somebody's fault. Somebody was wrong there.
All right, I got to hang up and tell Daniel to listen to this immediately. All right, see you later, man.
All right. One last note. My book is coming out on Tuesday, October 27th, doing the tour the next 3 weeks. I mentioned some of the stops on the first week of November, doing Chicago November 2nd, Phoenix November 3rd, San Francisco November 5th, San Diego November 6th, Vegas November 7th at the ESPN Zone New York Casino, and then November 9th, Los Angeles at the LA Live right before the Clippers game. And then doing November 17th in Seattle, November 19th in Portland, and November 20th in Denver. So those are going to be all the stops. But we'll have all the information on ESPN.com. And buy the book. It's like $15 on Amazon and Walmart. Just do it for me. I've had free podcasts for 2.5 years. Just do this one thing for me. I don't ask for much. I spent 3 years on it, for God's sakes. Anyway, that's it for the BS Report. We have Chuck Klosterman. 2 parts. Taped on Monday. Pretty good stuff. It goes in a lot of different directions. We had that coming up for you later in the week, and then hopefully something on Friday. Until then, signing off.
So I get to sign off. Whoa!
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Podcenter at ESPNRadio.com.
Peace out.
You laughed. You cried. You turned up the sound repeatedly, and now it's all over. Thus concludes another installment of the BS Report. And with all this talk about sports, Bill Simmons neglected to mention this important just breaking news. The $5 footlong anthem rolls on with Subway Everyday Value. So many of your Subway favorites are $5 footlongs, like the Taste-tacular Spicy Italian $5 footlong and the Pile Ridiculously High BLT $5 footlong, both made to your order on the freshly baked bread of your choice.